The second and last day of the National Convention gets underway at UNISA this morning. This comes after delegates yesterday discussed various themes in at least 8 dialogue labs. Part of the agenda for today's proceedings is to elect a steering committee that will lead the strategic direction of the over 13,000 dialogues that are set to take place across the country. Our reporters, Ziyanda, Ngcobo and Qaanitah are bringing us the latest on the gathering. Now, Newzroom Afrika's senior politics, Ziyanda Ngcobo, is in the capital for us and is joining us once again. Ziyanda, we have been seeing various roles that have now come up within this dialogue. Has the role of royal leaders strengthened over the years, especially in advocating for marginalized voices in South Africa?
That's an important question, Katlego, and that's why I'm going to be speaking to Kgoshi Letsiri Phatla, who is from, Rolesa, which represents the royal leaders of South Africa, about the ability of royal leaders to be able to represent the voice of the marginalized, because you are living within your communities. Just your reflections on how the first day went so far. I believe you are part of the Land Dialogue Lab, which of course is an important issue that traditional leaders and royal leaders have been raising since 1994, the issue of the ownership of land.
Thank you. Yes, the first day went quite well. And I happen to be part of the commission that deals with land and environmental justice. We represent the largest constituency in South Africa as royal leaders, representing those royal people that have been yearning to get their land back through the land reform processes that the country and our government has put in place. Unfortunately, for the past 30 years, we have seen little movement in terms of the restitution process. We have seen no movement at all in terms of transferring state land that is occupied by rural communities, which some of them have got no challenges. They just need a pen and paper and 2 minutes of the minister's time to sign them off. Yeah. But nothing has happened. They have not even scratched the surface. Yeah. So we insisted yesterday during the commission that all uncontested state land must be transferred immediately to the communities. And the issue of the restitution process, which is stagnant, is in fact defeating the object of land reform, because many people, as you know, have claimed land in their 50s and 60s in 1998. All of them might not be even interested, as we speak now, to go back to their land. And many of them, if their land is settled, they resort to getting financial compensation. The land remain in the hands of white people. So the whole object of land reform is defeated in the process because of inefficiencies within the land claims commissions.
It's an important point you're raising, because you're dealing with land redistribution and land restitution. And there have been several reports. There was a high-level panel report by former President Kgalema Motlanthe speaking on this issue, by royal leaders and traditional leaders. Have you found the process so far? It's not in actual dialogue. Was it helpful and useful to you as Rolesa, insofar as getting the point across? And do you have faith that something will actually come out of this?
Definitely not. The processes that are there are not, in fact, aiding the entire land reform process. Yeah. What we will be calling for as Rolesa is that the land claims commissions needs to be restructured. Because I myself am also a victim of their inabilities to restore our land back. My land claim was approved in 2012, and yet there is no settlement to date. So the land reform process must be restructured in the first place. Otherwise, we won't win with this issue of land reform. Secondly, you see, there is a violation of some acts as we speak now by government.
Okay.
Previously, the minister was holding the land on behalf of communities in terms of the Native Land Act of 1917 yes. and the Native Trust Act of 1936. The two legislations have been scrapped, but the minister is still continuing to hold that land that belongs to the communities. For what and using which legislation, nobody knows. We are saying as Rolesa, he or she must just immediately sign off those pieces of land to the rural communities, and also restore all those properties that they have claimed that are still in the process of negotiations and stuff like that. Because one other important issue is that we have been claiming land because we were dispossessed of land. But now when the government restore those pieces of land that were successfully claimed, they restore them to entities that never lost a rise in land, like the CPAs and stuff like that. Instead of restoring those pieces of land to the royal leaders and their communities which lost rise in land in the first place, and which are the ones that claim those properties.
All right, Kgoshi Letsiri Phahla, I'll have to leave it there for now. Of course, there are also still questions about what is to be done, but they've got solutions. The Land Commission Claims Commission needs to be reformed. That's one of the, solutions that has been put forward by the royal leaders of South Africa who represent communities. The issue of land is still not being dealt with, and lots of question around the legislation that is meant to be guiding the restitution issue as well as redistribution of land. Let's take you though to Qaanitah. She's also somewhere around here in UNISA. Qaanitah, I believe you have the Stalwarts Foundation with you.
Absolutely, Ziyanda. And when we talk about how this dialogue is going to get underway, there's a lot of emphasis about what happened more than 3 decades ago with the first national dialogue in South Africa that paved the way for a democratic dispensation as well as the constitution that we enjoy today. And so this particular process of dialoguing as a country, as we've heard over the last day and a bit, has been around how do you chart the way forward for the next 3 decades for South Africa. And so those comparisons are important, but also learning lessons as this civil society organizations, government, leaders of communities gathered here to try to kickstart what appears to be a mammoth task of getting communities, some 10 million South Africans is the target, in dialogue about the future that they want. Now let's go now to Lesizwe Makanya. Thank you very much for joining us from the Stalwarts Foundation. You and your organization have been a big part of that dialogue almost 3 decades ago. Is there anything that is too insurmountable that dialogue can't fix? Let's start there.
Good morning and good morning to the viewers at home. We have learned a lot from the past, that we were able to solve our problems as a country through sitting down and engaging. So now, this national convention will shape the framework on how then we move forward as a country in terms of engaging, creating platforms, national dialogues and so forth. So from the leaders that were there before, they taught us that when we have to solve problems, the best way of doing it is to engage and honestly engage so that we'll be able to then create a new path as a country.
Back then, the facilitators of the dialogue was an important role because there was a sense of legitimacy and buy-in from South Africans. What needs to be factored in terms of the people leading the conversation?
The only reason that we're here is because of the presentation that was done by the organizing committee, where they said these dialogues will be community-based, citizen-led, and out of the over 4,000 wards in this country, we'll have an average of 3 dialogues per ward, depending on the size of the ward. So it then means that at that level, that is where we should go beyond organizations or beyond political parties, beyond NPOs that are there, to individuals. A person from a certain ward, from a certain street, from a certain house should be able to attend, participate, and lead the discussions. So there is our hope that from this time around, people from the ground will be able to have this conversation at a wide level. But also what is important is that then there will be a way also of this engagement or those engagement to find expression in the final document that will guide the country moving forward.
And how do you galvanize that process from being hijacked by personal interest, political interest, or just troublemakers in society?
The best way, as I've mentioned earlier on, that we need to go beyond organization, beyond political parties, and also beyond the registered or known NGOs. We should be able to then encourage and mobilize society to be part of these dialogues in a way that they should feel that this time around it's not a top-down approach. The so-called leaders are willing to listen. That is important, that the game changer for this important engagement on national dialogues is for our leaders to listen to the voices of the people from the ground.